destined to be a concert pianist or anything like that. No, my hero was Keith Emerson, and from ELP and The Nice. And to me, he was like the ultimate keyboard rock god. And when I saw him the very first time, when he did his first big gig with ELP, you know, they had cannons on the stage firing. He was stabbing knives into his Hammond, and he was rolling around the stage with his keyboards, and it's like he had this amazing, you know, glittery costume on. He was just the boom. He was great. And I thought, well, Keith is a very accomplished classical musician. I need to do that. If I'm going to get anywhere with my love, which is rock and pop music, I have to do that as well. So that's why I was at the college. But I got 2 years in, you know, 6 hours a day practice and, you know, doing all that stuff. I thought, I am fed up of playing dead people's music now. I really, it's really time to get on and do my own. So I left college. Everyone said, you're crazy, what are you doing, you know? You can imagine. Went back to live with my parents. Took the first job that anybody offered me. Literally the very first job, and it was rolling saran wrap in a saran wrap factory. So 8 hours a day, you know, I was perforating the saran wrap into sandwich-sized pieces so you could roll, you know, do your sandwiches in it and things like that. So, it was an invaluable experience for me. I really loved the people I was working with, you know, the girls and guys that worked there. They were wonderful, and I have many good memories, and it's great to do that job. But I did say to them, you know, one day I will be walking out of here and I'm going to do my music. And they kind of laughed, you know, and sort of chuckled to themselves. Oh yeah, of course, everyone wants to be a pop star after all, you know. I mean, but anyway, I did eventually. But I want to take you a bit further first. I was doing 3 or 4 gigs a week with my one-man electronic band. And I decided that I didn't know any musicians locally anymore, so I had this idea for like a one-man electric show, you know, the drum machine, the sequencers, the Moog Prodigies, and so I kind of developed this idea and went out and played in the pubs and clubs, and it seemed to go down very well, you know, and people wanted to get on board because it was kind of a new, fresh sound, and people started following me around the country, and we organised coaches, and in the end we ended up going to the Marquee and doing 4 Mondays. You know, what a good night to go out to see a gig on Monday night. And so up in London, in Soho, unfortunately the Marquee Club's not there anymore. Anyway, we invited all the record companies down. This is after 2 or 3 years, though, of doing these gigs and really, you know, building up a following. Invited all the record companies down, all the publishers down. All of them said no. And I've got a stack of letters this big, which I keep in a refrigerated compartment at home to make sure that I never lose sight of those. And remind people, no, I don't hold grudges, no. Anyway, there was one guy who got it, and it was Paul Conroy. He worked for Stiff Records. Now, Stiff had Elvis Costello and Nick Lowe and Madness and Kirsty MacColl. They had a really great label of artists. But I really didn't think I fitted into that label. But Paul Conroy, his comment was, "We missed out on Depeche Mode. We're not going to miss out on this guy." And he kind of put his job on the line for me. He really did. So, very exciting. I'm about to sign Stiff Records. So I'm at the Lyceum Ballroom in London doing a gig. And I'm going to sign the contract that night. You know, I've been waiting my whole life to record deal, get my records out. Suddenly, Paul Conroy burst into the room and says, "Don't sign that!" I said, "What do you mean? You know, I've been waiting my whole life to do this." He says, "I've left Stiff. I'm going to Warner Brothers, and I want you to come with me." So I ended up on like the biggest label in the world at the time. So it was a great result. It was a great result. So very excited. So new song was going to be the first single. So Colin Thurston, who produced quite a lot of the early Duran Duran stuff. He produced it, we put it out, it rocketed into the charts at 106. Looked like it was all done and dusted right from the beginning. It was over. But somehow, every week, it clawed its way up, 3 or 4 places. But after 8 weeks, it got to number 44. And there was this TV program in the UK called Top of the Pops that everybody played, from like Duran Duran to Def Leppard to Elvis Presley everyone played it, and the whole country watched it. Mums, dads, granddads, everyone. So it's a big deal. But it's called Top of the Pops. So it plays the top records. And number 44 is kind of, I don't know what you think, but it's kind of middle of the pops or lower pops. Or out of the pops altogether. For some reason, Duran was busy making a video in the West Indies or something, and Spandau Ballet were down in Australia, doing a tour. So they kind of kept looking down the charts to find people who didn't do it. Got down to number 44. This bloke. Oh, right. Okay. So I was in. Me and Jed, we did our performance on Top of the Pops, and my life changed forever that night, because suddenly everything exploded, and the record made its way to number 3. The album came in at number 1, and I couldn't go anywhere anymore without being chased around. So it's pretty dramatic stuff. But I, the reason I'm saying all this is because what I wanted to put into my lyrics and work is that, don't be afraid to go for what you think you really would like to do. In my case, it was music. There's a million things that all you and everyone is good at, and not to be afraid to go for it. And even if it doesn't go right at first, keep going, and it'll show you the way to get to the next bit. And don't be afraid. Don't crack up. Bend your brain and see both sides. And the most important of all is throw off your mental chains. Cause I've been waiting for so long to come in now and sing a song. Oh, don't be fooled by what you see. Don't be fooled by what you hear. Preconceived ideas, saying goodbye to lost and it feels. Cause don't crack up now, bend your brain, see both sides, throw off your mental chains. Cause I don't wanna be hip and cool. Actually, I don't mind being hip and cool now. I don't wanna play by the rules, and not under the thumb of the cynical few, or laid down by the doom crew. Cause don't crack up now, bend your brain, see both sides, throw off your mental chains. saw